Gabby Mercer.
Thank you and good evening. Whoa, a little loud. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
I heard your,
We'll see.
Well, I'm here to tell you, you cannot trust anybody. And you know why? Because we're all corrupt. So it is your responsibility to hold me accountable.
Exactly.
And when you don't do that, that's what's happening in Washington. And not just Washington, at the local level. Down in Tucson right now, we have, Pima County Board of Supervisors. For many years, they have been given, everybody has a budget, and they discovered that they were not spending all of the money in their budget, so they decided that they were going to do something nice with our money. And one of the things that they did was they pick and chose and pick, or how do you say it?
Pick and choose.
Pick and choose certain nonprofit organizations and gave our money to them. That is illegal according to the Constitution of Arizona. The Goldwater Institute is looking into it. So our County Board of Supervisors are going to be in deep trouble.
Good. Good.
Yes.
Especially in the liberal mecca called Tucson.
Born in Mexico into a family of 8, Gabby lost her mother at age 6, but she never lost her drive.
I never consider myself a victim. I am blessed to live in the land of opportunity.
On a school trip, Gabby got her first taste of America, and life would never be the same. Although her stars shined in Mexico, she legally emigrated and married Ted Mercer in 1986. 5 years later, forever proud of her Mexican heritage, Gabriela Saucedo Mercer became an American citizen.
I am an American, and my family loves this country.
In fact, one of her children, Juliana, is now a United States Marine.
Our founding fathers were not career politicians. Like them, I believe that serving in Congress is an honor, not a career, and I'd be honored to serve you. I am Gabriela Saucedo Mercer, and I approve this message. That was an ad that we were hoping to get on TV, but we didn't have enough money. So I like to show it every opportunity. It just tells my story. Shane was telling you how I came to this country legally. But before that, the United States offers a border crossing card or border crossing permit to anybody that applies from their country of citizenship. When I turned 18, I applied for, we call it el pasaporte, which is a passport. It's not a green card, it just allows you to come across the border and go to Disneyland, Magic Mountain, shopping, or anything that you would like to come and do in the United States, except you cannot work. And it says in the card, it says, you cannot use this to get work in the United States. So the story was that you're supposed to go and get in line by midnight. Well, I was a little lazy, and I got there at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I got in line. There was probably about 100 people in front of me. I got all my documentation, and they open at 8 o'clock. So standing in line, you start talking to people and start sharing war stories. And at 7:30, this lady asked me, "So you have all your paperwork?" "Oh yes." And I showed her all my stuff, and she said, "Where's your pictures?" And I go, "What pictures?" You're supposed to submit 3 pictures, like 3/4. Your profile is weird, the way they ask you for these pictures. So I said, "Oh my God, I don't have those pictures." And then she said, "You know those little stores along the along the border. This is in Tijuana, in the border with San Isidro. It's one of the largest border crossings in Mexico and the United States. Sometimes you stand in that line for 3 hours in your vehicle. Well, anyway, this lady told me, so they open at 8 o'clock. You can go take your pictures. You know, it's one of those Polaroids, takes 5 minutes, and we'll save your space online. So I did that. As soon as they opened the stores, I went to get my pictures taken. When I came back, the line had already moved. So I went looking for my spot in the line. And there was this great big guy dressed in green. And it was from the Border Patrol. At that time, it was called INS, Immigration Naturalization Services. And they all wore the green uniform. So he said, hey, no cutting in line, get back to the end of the line. And I said, oh, no, I was here. And he said, no cutting in line, end of the line. And so I look around, wasn't I here? Oh yeah, she was here. He just wouldn't have it, so I went to the end of the line. 5 minutes later, he's out of sight, and everybody's waving at me. So I went back. So we go upstairs into the building, and we turn around this corner, and guess who was there? Needless to say, on that day, I did not give my passport to come across the border legally. So I had to go another day, but at that time I already had my pictures, and I decided that I did not need to go at 3 o'clock in the morning because I had already everything that I needed. So that was my first attempt to come to this country legally. Then I married my husband. We met in, actually I got him fired. It's a long story.
Tell it.
Well, I was working in the maquiladora industry, which is a Mexican-run company that manufactures products for American company. And he was the plant manager. He was divorced, I was divorced, and he asked me on a date, and he got in trouble because he was messing with the Mexican girls. And I said, wait a minute, you know, that guy over there, that engineer, he's fooling around with so-and-so, and he's married. How come he doesn't get in trouble? So anyway, he lost his job. He says it was the best thing that ever happened to him. We ended up getting married 2.5 years later, and we'll be married 28 years this year. A lot of people say, oh, you just married him so you can go to the United States. That's another myth. A lot of people do that. We're still married. We have children together. My daughter is from my first marriage. It wasn't, well, I guess we proved them all wrong. First, that I wasn't marrying him for his money or to get my papers. That's another thing that most people don't know. When you get your green card, every so often you have to go and prove that you're still married, that you're living a normal life. Yes, it's not easy. And so, and it's not just, yeah, we're still married. No, we have to submit bank accounts. Do you own a home? We have to submit every paperwork, birth certificates for our children. And you know, some of you would say, oh my gosh, you know, why go through all of that? I just knew that it was the right thing to do. I mean, I didn't mind it because this is what you're supposed to do. This is the law. I didn't mind any of that. When you get your green card, you have to wait 3 years before you apply to become a citizen. The whole process took me 5 years. I applied, They told me what I needed to do. I needed to learn English. I needed to pass a test, a little bit of history. I used to go around my place of employment and ask my coworkers, can you quiz me? What are you studying for? To become a citizen. I said, most people would tell me, oh my God, I don't know this stuff. Like, what do you mean you don't know in school? It's history. It was, I appreciated the process that I had to go through because I became an American. How did I get involved in politics? And I don't like to say politics, excuse me. I always get the Marco Rubio moments. And I don't know, I need some advice as to what do you do when your mouth gets dry?
Take a drink.
Brad Zinn told me that lemon helps. Anybody has lemon? Okay, where was I? So I worked in the defense industry when I married my husband because of the training that I had in Mexico in the maquiladora industry. It afforded me just the training that I got. I was able to get a good paying job in the United States. I didn't have to go flip burgers because I only had 9th grade education when I came to the United States. When I was pregnant with my last baby, I said, my daughter was starting 1st grade, and I said, I need to go back to school. I know I need to, better myself. And at that time, I didn't have to go to work. My husband moved me from San Diego to Rio Rico, Arizona. And there was no employment for me. Well, actually there was, but they wanted to pay me $6 an hour. I said, I'd rather stay home and raise my babies. So I stayed home, but I was bored. And I said, I want to go back to school. First thing, I had to go and get my GED. And then I had dreams of going to university. And then life happened. My husband lost his job. We had to move back to San Diego. Had to go back to work, which I didn't mind. And through that process, that's when I became a citizen. And then what happened? 4 years later, we moved again. Same thing. I lost my job. He lost his job. And there was an opportunity again in Arizona. This time it was in Agua Prieta, Sonora, which was across the border from Douglas. So he took me house hunting, and I go, I'm going to stay in San Diego. Douglas is just a dusty old town, nothing to do. I said, I don't want to raise my children here. So we compromised. We decided to settle in Sierra Vista. And my husband drove for 7.5 years, an hour and 15 minutes every day to work. So thank you. We compromised. Raised the kids. Then we went back to California. We lived there for 4 years. And then our son, the one in the middle, he got accepted to the U of A, and at that time we had our own business, and we found out that if you own property in Arizona, that you get in-state tuition for your children. So we said, let's move to Arizona. And this time we ended up in Tucson because our son was going to the U of A. So my son finally graduated in 2009. We moved here in 2004. In 2008, when a man by the name of Barack Hussein Obama got elected president, I said, oh my God, what is going on in my adopted country? I would listen to my husband, the sky is falling, the sky is falling. What are we going to do? And I keep hearing all this, it was negative, but it was true. And not that I was in denial, but I knew that I needed to get involved somehow. So, first year of Barack Hussein Obama as president came and went. And April of 2009, this populist movement broke across America. And I keep hearing on the radio, this bunch of racist people, white old Christians and blah, 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 blah. And we heard that there was a tea party happening on April 15 in Tucson. And so I told Ted, let's go. I want to see all these racist people. So we went. It was in one of the public parks in Tucson, downtown. And all I saw was a bunch of patriots just walking around demanding that the government listen to us. And I go, what's wrong with that? I saw white, black, Hispanic. I didn't see any racism. I was just laughing at all the signs. I did not have a sign. I just went there to observe, to take notes. Well, there was this little old lady following me around, and she kept asking me, would you like to be a PC? Would you like to be a PC? And I said, lady, I am not politically correct. Get away from me. And she said, no. Precinct committeeman. What is that? I had no idea. No political lingo, except for Republican and liberals or Democrats. I had no idea what a PC was, what a legislative district, what a congressional district, nothing. Just no idea about anything. So she gave me this spiel, and I said, sounds good. Said, you're in charge of your precinct, and you go and talk to your neighbors, get them involved, get them to vote. You mean people don't vote? No, we need to get people. I couldn't comprehend, because one of the reasons that I became a citizen is so I could have the right to vote. Which, if any of you want to emigrate to Mexico and become a citizen of Mexico, you will never be allowed to vote, even if you become a Mexican citizen. So there you go. So sign up with this lady. She said, don't worry, you'll get invited to a training, and you just go through all the stuff. We'll tell you what to do. So I signed up, and then I signed him without telling him. So we went to the training. I said, we can do this. So that was my first introduction to getting involved in the political process. But to me, it was serious. I jumped in with both feet, and so I started getting involved. I started going to every Republican meeting available, every legislative district, and then I started hearing all this bickering. I go, oh my God. What is wrong with people? Some legislative districts treat their clubs or meetings as a social thing. I go, the sky is falling, and you're having a social gathering. We need to get involved. We need to help our candidates. So I put my feet where my mouth was, and I started helping candidates. Didn't have a lot of money, but I was donating. I make jewelry, and I started donating or raffling my pieces of jewelry so I could donate to the candidates, or silent action things, and just anything. Well, one day I heard about this lady that she teaches the Constitution. And I heard, great reviews about it, so I signed up again and signed him up too. So we drove about an hour to take this class over 4 Saturday evenings. We had to give up our Saturdays, yes. And it was just 4 classes. On the 3rd week, this lady's name is Claire Morgan. She just teaches the Constitution in a way that you just say, oh my gosh. You get angry, but in a good way. Angry that you want to get involved, that you want to make a difference. But on the 3rd class, she said, well, today we're going to talk about corruption in government. And I go, oh, I know all about corruption. I come from Mexico. And she said, like she didn't hear me, she said, corruption in government is a reflection of your corruption. She pointed her finger at us. It was about 15 people in the class. So like a good student, I raised my hand and I said, Claire, are you saying that I am corrupt? I said, I did not vote for Obama, just so you know. And she said, yes, you are all corrupt. So I went, and she said, you are corrupt because you have failed to hold your elected officials accountable. And that just, I don't know what happened to me that day, but all the way home, I'm, what did you do? And Ted says, she's right, but how do we hold our elected officials accountable? What can I do? Just one person, what can 2 of us do? So, well, you just keep doing what you're doing and keep speaking truth and keep, getting in their faces. So that's what I did. Any McCain lovers?
Supporters? No. Not in this group.
I know they're recording this, but hey, if you cannot get anybody to say how they feel, I shouldn't be running for office. I got in McCain's face.
Good.
Because, and I was very respectful, but I am his constituent, and I was holding him accountable. I went, that day we had gone, it was October 10th, 2009. He was still in love with the Tea Party. He doesn't like us anymore. So, I had written something, thank you for your service, da-da-da-da-da. I checked your voting record, and I said, well, let me backtrack. We had gone to the Tea Party, and then I heard he was going to be at a town hall meeting. So I told my husband, let's go. I need to talk to him. So we went to about an hour away from where the Tea Party was. So I was wearing this patriotic shirt, and he had been to the Tea Party earlier. So there was a bunch of us that had gone to this town hall. And I'm sitting like right in the middle, and he gave his spiel, and then he asked, questions. So I raised my hand, and he said, that patriotic lady over there. And I go, yes. And so I got up. I was reading Mark Levin's the one on tyranny?
Liberty and Tyranny.
Liberty and Tyranny. And I was almost finished with that book. And so I opened up the book. I had my little piece of paper of what I wanted to address with Senator McCain. And as soon as I took that paper out, he says, "Ugh, one of those." So I look up and I said, "One of what?" He said, "Why do you have to read?" And I'm like, I said, "Sir, this is the first time I do this. I am very nervous. English is my second language. Use my crutch." And I said, "And I feel more comfortable reading, if you don't mind." So I started reading. I thank him for his service. felt bad that, that he was a prisoner of war, gave him my respects, and then I said, but sir, I took the time to check your voting record, and you are not a conservative.
Good for you.
I said, you are not representing me. You are pushing for this amnesty. You remember in 2010, they were pushing for the 10 points, blah, 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 blah. And I said, I came here legally. What you're trying to do is a slap in my face. Well, all of a sudden, he started going like this. And he got red, and my husband said, you're going to give him a heart attack. I said, I'm sorry, he needs to hear what I have to say. And I told him, it is time for you to pass the baton to a true conservative.
Amen.
Because you are not representing the Republican Party. I am a Republican, I am a conservative, and you are not representing me. All of a sudden, everybody erupted in an applause, and I go, oh my God, I sat down. I said what I had to say. Well, at the end, everybody surrounded me. Thank you for saying that. That's what I wanted to tell him. And I said, why don't you? That's the problem. When we don't tell our elected officials, you have to be respectful, but when we don't hold them accountable, they don't care. They just don't care. Last year, I got involved with the Center for Self-Governance. I'm hungry to educate myself about what it is to be an American. Why do we have this wonderful country with the best constitution ever written in the history of the world? Everybody talks about, well, most politicians, and I know you heard Shane talk about most politicians tell us and the whole world that we are a democracy. We are not a democracy.
Republic.
We are a republic, constitutional republic. And I was admiring that two gentlemen back there. They have a t-shirt that says, Benjamin Franklin says, let's see, when they signed the Constitution, Dr. Franklin, and I can't remember who else, walked out of the hall, and this lady ran to them. Her name was Mrs. Powell, with one L, and she said, Dr. Franklin, what kind of government have you given us? And he said, a republic, if you can keep it. Now keep in mind, Mrs. Powell could not vote. Mrs. Powell was, I don't like to say a second-class citizen, but she was a woman in a men-run society. I'm not a feminist. I know my place. I know I belong under my husband's umbrella, and if I step over that umbrella, I lose my blessing. I know where my place is. So Mrs. Powell didn't have any power, but she knew, we girls have a lot of power, and we can influence certain things. Mrs. Powell was a socialite, or she used to feed the politicians. She used to hear what's going on. She was an advisor to George Washington. Mrs. Powell was the reason that George Washington ran for re-election. I know a lot of people didn't know that. She's the one that sent him a letter when he said, I'm not going to run for re-election. She sent him a note and urged him to run again. So he did. Excuse me. I don't know how I'm doing with time.
You have lots of time.
Lots of time. So anyway, got involved with the Center for Self-Governance, and I learned more and more things. The program is a 5-level course. You take, it's 5 levels. On level 4, my eyes were open again. You have the Democrats, you have the Republicans. One of the things that I learned at level 4 was that both parties, they're in it together. They want to stay in power, and they want to forget about we the people, or Mrs. Powell. They don't care about Mrs. Powell. You heard Shane talking about why is the government spending money that we don't have? How can we stand here and accept the fact that we are $17 trillion in debt? Can you count to 1 trillion? It's insane. But why has this happened? Because we are corrupt. Going back to that night when Claire said that I was corrupt, I told my husband, I gotta do something. We gotta do something. We need to get involved. And the first thing that we need to do is educate people. And that's one of the things that the Center for Self-Governance does. That's what Shane is doing, educating people to get involved. I see a lot of gray heads around here. Or no hair. I like your haircut like my husband. So it is our responsibility to bring the message to our children and grandchildren. If we don't, what are we going to have left? What else can I talk to you about? Get you excited. Yes.
Are you willing to take questions?
Yes. I just want to share one little story, and it's regarding getting involved in whatever it is. These 2 gentlemen, thank you for what you do. When my daughter was deployed to Afghanistan, it's just my baby girl. I was sending her all kinds of goodies. And then she sends me an email and she says, Mom, stop sending me stuff. Everybody's jealous of me. I go, what do you mean? I mean, it's care packages, it's goodies. So, well, there are some people in my unit that are not getting anything from home. And I go, what? I mean, they never couldn't comprehend why wouldn't these other people were not getting care packages from home while they were out there fighting. And I said, oh my goodness. So I was talking to a couple of friends. One of them is actually now a county board of supervisors in Pima County. And the other lady, she runs one of the tea parties. I was involved. And so I was sharing the story, and they said, let's adopt your daughter's unit. I said, okay, sounds good. So one of the things that we did, we talked to all of the candidates that we were helping, and we asked them, can we put a box so people can drop goodies, and we'll send them to the troops. So we took on that task. My 2 friends, because they were on the northwest, I'm in the southwest in Tucson, they collected all of the stuff from their side of town, and I collected the stuff on my side of town. So they put it on boxes and took everything to the post office. I had given them the names and the address for the APO address for the troops. And then I get this phone call, Gabby, we can't do this, we cannot afford it. What do you mean? Well, we're at the post office, it's $160. They had 13 boxes or something like that. I go, oh, we didn't think about that, huh? So one of them said, I'm calling it off. I go, what do you mean you're calling it off? I said, no, we made a commitment. Well, I can't afford this. They had 13 boxes, I had 22 boxes ready to go. I go, ka-ching, ka-ching. So the light went off, and I said, I went to one of the Republican luncheons, and I had this little cart, and I piled up all these boxes and walked in, and I said, I told them the story, and I told them about my friends leaving me. So they don't want to help me anymore, and I'm stuck with 22 boxes. Who wants to sponsor a box? It's $12.50. I walked out of that room with $370. I go, So I went to another meeting, and the same thing. And I did that for, let me see, I was able to, after my friends sent the first 13 original boxes, I was able to send 154 boxes in a period of 6 months. And the only thing that I spent was my gas. So I know it's, when you're faced with, how are we going to do this? When the motive is right, the money will come. So thank you for what you do again.
Thank you.
It was so I was so grateful to get thank you cards from the troops. I go, are you kidding me? You're out there with, in harm's way. And I don't know if you ever get an email. It's been circulating since 2011. The Dark Horse 5th Battalion Marines that were killed. My daughter called me that day, and she said, Mom, our Marines they came under this horrible attack. They need supplies, special supplies. I go, do you have any idea how much that stuff cost? So a friend of mine had this idea of doing a rummage sale. So I called the radio stations, and I told them where people could drop the stuff. In 2 days, we made $1,700. So I was able to buy these hand warmers and heat socks that have heat or something like that. So we were able to help these other Marines. Like I said, if the motive is right, the money is going to come. And people just respond because it is a good thing. Where's the government when our veterans are being denied care? Where is the? But see, they pick and choose what social services they're going to get involved because it may mean votes for them. That is insane, and we need to hold our elected officials accountable. I guess I can open up for Q&A.